he set out in the 1910s to develop a truly abstract idiom, a way of describing the way that he felt or saw the world using abstract motifs. And of course they are rooted all the way through in representation. There is a sense of the landscape, particularly his Russian heritage, and latterly in pictures such as this there's a nod to science, to the natural world. It's extremely rare to get a painting by Kandinsky of this scale and this importance in a private collection, and when they would come up at auction such as this, or when they do, they command extremely high prices. These are considered to be the masterpieces of abstraction and as such great works of 20th century art.
Freud and Hockney had known each other for 40-odd years, having met in the 1960s, and they had this long episodic relationship up until this point. And in 2002, Hockney had travelled back to England, and they had this conversation about sitting for one another. And in the summer months of 2002, Hockney would arrive at Freud's studio every morning, 8:30, and the sittings began. And it was a long, long period. Hockney calculated that he probably sat for 120 hours for Freud in those spring and summer months. Freud's maxim really was this really acute scrutiny of his sitter, and that ensued a long period of painting. Hockney talked about maybe Freud pre-mixing his colours so you could sort of speed it up a little bit, but that was not Freud's plan. But actually Hockney found that fascinating because it gave them an opportunity to talk, to relive past experiences, and both great students of art history, they talked about other artists as well, and it proved a fascinating period in terms of that. But also Hockney as an artist found it fascinating looking at how Freud really worked. And I think you see that in this painting. You see painter's gaze looking back at painter's gaze. I think it's incredibly strong. Everyone has been really starved of physical experiences, and art really is at the very forefront of that. And I think in this past year we've had incredible sales thus far. I think we were up sort of 60% on last year, and we're seeing a real appetite among collectors to really acquire the very best on offer.
One of the great turnabout of the pandemic and how it's actually affected the art market has been the move to selling online. So the digital world has finally caught up with the art market. We've been holding auctions in America and in Hong Kong and in London, which are live streamed across the world, and has circumvented many of the obstructions that we've had placed upon our physical connection with these things. But the desire to buy and own works of art and live with them has only got greater.